Hi everybody, Matt here from Evolv Healthstore in Enniscorthy, and today we're joined by Adam Henderson. How you doing, Adam?
Not too bad. Thank you for having me on.
Thank
Appreciate
you
it.
very much for joining us here, and we're going to catch up with Adam about an endeavor that Adam took on in 5th of December 2020, and it was a phenomenal achievement. And I don't know what sort of bravery Adam has, but he took on an event for in the benefit of Pieta House. And I'm going to turn you over now to Adam to describe just how many kilometers in the name of God, Adam, will you tell me that you decided that you were going to run in aid of Pieta House?
So I decided on 100K. And I know, yeah, it's a pretty big number, but
Yes.
uh, yeah, so I decided on 100K. I don't like to do things in half measures, I always like to say. But I had essentially I had signed up for my first ultra, which was an 80K, and it got
Okay.
cancelled with everything that's going on in the world right now.
Yeah.
And with I knew they were just going to keep getting cancelled, so I decided I'm just going to do my own
Okay.
run. I'm going to do it on
Logical.
my own.
Yeah.
I'm going to I'm going to do it for charity while I'm at it. I'm going to try help some people.
Yeah.
And then of course for a little bit of a shock factor and kind of get people going, what, I decided that I'd up it to 100K from the 80 I had planned to do.
Right. Okay, well, an extraordinary distance for anybody to consider doing, because that's like back to back two and a bit and a good bit
Yeah.
marathons, and
Mm-hmm.
that's putting it into perspective, I think, for anybody. Um, okay, so how long did you give yourself for to prepare for that event?
Well, I was actually only 2 weeks into a 12-week training block for the 80K
Right.
that got cancelled. So when that got cancelled, I think I pulled back for a week. I readjusted, and then I had decided I was going to do 100K for charity. So I gave myself 12 weeks. Now it ended
Okay.
up being 13
Yeah.
because new restrictions came in, and I pushed it out by a week just to suit and to comply with regulations. So I gave myself, so it was 13 weeks in total.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the training was quite straightforward. I had run a marathon last year. I had ran the New York Marathon last year,
Very good.
so it's not like running was just new to me.
Oh,
I've kind of
indeed.
been doing it for about 2 or 3 years now.
Yeah.
So I just went the first week. I did 20K. Second week it was 25. Third week it was up 30. And then when I got to 42, I pulled back for a week to give myself some rest, and then
Okay.
slowly built it up to my longest run, which was 60K.
Well, yeah.
I didn't want to push it any further than that in training, just because I was afraid I was going to knock myself out for about 2 or 3 weeks, because that
Yeah.
can be a lot to recover from.
Okay. Yeah.
So yeah, it was a tough 13 weeks, but I always say, like, the event is the easy part. The event is over in one day. Training
Right.
takes 13 weeks.
Yes, yes, yes. And were you, how many times per week were you generally training?
I mean, I'm a big weightlifter. I love weightlifting,
Yeah.
and so we sort of switched that up a little bit to more suit the goal of strengthening my legs, ankles, and all that.
Oh, yeah.
So I was doing 2 or 3 weight sessions, and then I do 1 to 2 runs a week,
Okay.
and that was it. I mean, there was a
Yeah.
huge emphasis on recovery
Yeah.
instead of just train, because
Okay.
when you're clocking up mileage like that, you really have to focus on recovery.
Yeah. And you had a coach involved helping you along, I suppose, with your preparations as well.
I do, yeah. I have. I work with a coach from Enniscorthy, Wexford. His name's Larry Doyle. I've been
Yeah.
working with him for about 3 years now.
Okay.
So yeah, he wasn't too happy I was running 100K, but he said he'd back me anyway, and
Yes.
he helped me along the way. And it's just fantastic to have somebody of such 20 plus years in the health and fitness industry.
Yeah.
Telling me what I need to do to get myself where I want to go. So it was definitely made me feel a little bit more confident to have someone of that
Yeah.
knowledge behind me.
Yeah. And you've been a vegan for quite a while.
Yeah.
And so, how did you feel, or did you feel indeed that that had an impact on your nutrition for the event, and give me a little bit of your philosophy on that.
No, I've never. I mean, I've been vegetarian now 12 years, and then for the last 4 to 5, I've been fully vegan. I've had. I mean, there was certainly a learning curve when it came to switching over to going fully vegan.
Yeah.
But over the years, I've sort of just readjusted how I get in my nutrients, how I get in my proteins, my fats. Yeah. So it's never really been a massive issue for me. The initial learning curve, okay, can be a little bit steep, but after that, it's pretty okay. So, and I mean, when it comes to running, I mean, carbs and fats are our main source, are the best sources, I suppose. So, nuts, seeds, peanut butters, things like that, all vegan. So I've never really ran into any trouble with fueling this type of running.
Yeah. And in terms of your sports nutrition, then, did you find that any different for, in effect, ultra distance running as opposed to your weight training and that style?
Yeah, I ran into some new issues. The main one being my body. So when I'm actually running and I'm doing these distances, I'm mainly eating different types of chia bread with peanut butter, banana, things like that, just trying to get carbs and fats up. Anything that sits well on my stomach, that's what I go for. But what I was finding was my body was switching over to proteins quite quick into a long distance run. So if I do a 4-hour run, after about 2 hours, I was finding I was beginning to smell ammonia.
Okay.
Which is a sign the proteins, muscles are being burnt up.
Yeah.
So that's actually when I had called into you, and I got your advice on it as well. And you provided me with an MCT oil, which is a concentrated fat.
Yeah.
So I knew that I had to increase my fat intake so that when the carbs were gone, we didn't go to protein. So the MCT oil I found to be probably the best addition to my sports nutrition that I've ever had.
Yeah, yeah.
Having that concentrated level of fats, in my morning shake or in my morning tea or coffee, just provides so much more sustenance. And because it's quite calorie dense, it also will help me perform, and I don't have to be taking in massive amounts of food.
Yes, indeed. Will you tell me a little bit now about the day of the run? And you got out of bed, I would say, at an ungodly hour in order for you to get going. What did you say to me? Was it 5 a.m.?
It started at 5:30.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were there kicking off a huge day in the black dark in the winter.
Yeah, it was, to be honest, I was so happy the day had arrived because the nerves leading up to it were the worst.
Yes.
So finally to be able to actually just get out there and start the 100K and start ticking off some kilometers was really nice. But yeah, we started at 5:30 and there wasn't much sleep the night before. I was very nervous.
That's it.
I think, I went to bed at about 11, got up at about 2. So I was running on about 3 or 4 hours sleep. But yeah, I mean, it started great. couldn't have been happier to be out there. Me and my brother, my brother came with me for the first loop. So it was 4 loops of the Wicklow Mountains, 4 25-kilometer loops to make the 100.
Yeah.
Me and my brother set out on the first one. So we did that together.
Yeah, great.
Which is great. It was just the first lap was quite enjoyable until the end of the first lap.
All right.
Something very strange happened there, and I was about maybe 4 kilometers from coming back in, finishing the loop.
Yeah.
And my brain didn't like it at all.
Really?
The nerves became overwhelming because I realized I had 3 more of these to do.
Yeah.
This loop just took me 4 hours, and I have 3 more. So I know, and each loop is going to get longer because I'm going to get slower.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, in my head, I have minimum 12 hours running ahead of me. So after this 4 hours I've just done. So my mind, everything, my stomach, everything just wasn't playing playing ball, and I hit a wall in the first loop, which is just something that has never happened to me. It's such a short, I say a short distance, but in the grand scheme, on the first loop, you know. So I got back to the car park where I had my family and friends and everything were there to support me.
Yeah.
And I kind of just reset, and I said, right, at that point, I decided, let's not do 3 kilometer or 3 loops anymore. Let's break it down into 10-kilometer runs.
Right.
So I was just ticking off 10 kilometers at a time. It was no longer 25 because it was too large, you know.
There's huge shots,
so just a mind game. It's just a mind game.
Yeah, and very what shall we say, very good tactics for you to in a sense change your mental approach to it midstream there.
Yeah, and there's these, I suppose these are just things you learn from doing it. And you know, when I was getting up to the higher mileage in training, I was hitting walls and I was trying to figure out how do I get past them. So it threw me for a loop that I hit one so early.
Yeah.
So I employed my tactics and I cut it down in my head, 10Ks. So every lap was 2 10Ks and a 5K.
Right.
So when you only have 10K in front of you, it makes it look a little bit easier.
Yeah.
It makes it feel a little bit easier, you know. But yeah, then I had some friends come out for the second lap, the third lap. I had my brother came out again on the last one, and the second and third lap, to be honest, went really, really well because I managed to get my head into the right place.
Okay, yeah.
I managed to. Now my stomach never came back, which was unfortunate because the nerves just, my stomach was shot after the nerves.
I see.
So I wasn't really taking in much food or water because I was just getting sick all the time.
Yes, I see.
Which made running very difficult when you don't have.
It wasn't the way
energy.
you certainly, it wasn't the way you planned it. So
no, it wasn't. So and funny enough, with the MCT oil as well, being that is so calorie dense, and in a teaspoon, that was my nutrition for most of the run because I could have a teaspoon of it at a time, and I wouldn't. It wouldn't upset my stomach. It was fine. I was getting 100 calories in on each teaspoon.
Okay.
Because anything else, I was getting sick, so that really saved me. Yeah. It was the last lap. It was the last lap that really got me.
Okay.
I think it would get anyone, to be honest.
Yes.
I was 12. I was 16 hours into this run, and I had my last lap left, which was my slowest.
Okay.
So we set out for the last lap at like 8 p.m. So I've been running for 16 hours at this stage.
For a long day already, yeah.
Yeah, it was a long day. And this was the one that really worried me because I was 2K in and my body just couldn't take it anymore. My body was starting to shut down. I was getting sick. I couldn't keep any water in. My body was cramping.
Everything was against you. Things
were starting to tear. I had tears in my left foot, my right foot. I had a tear in my left knee, and I had lost the eyesight in my right eye. Still yet to figure out why that happened. But running with one eye is quite difficult in the Dublin Mountains at night time. So,
I imagine, yes. Never having done this,
Yeah. So that presented like another massive amount of obstacles that I had to kind of just readjust and see what can I do. And, you know, just to get a little bit of water in, I was just kind of wetting my mouth with it because if I swallowed it, I was just getting sick. So it was very hard to adjust on the go.
Yeah.
But yeah, we ended up, it was, the last lap was long. It was 6 hours, which meant because of the pain and the tears in my legs, I was kind of power hiking most of it, running where I could.
Yes.
And it wasn't until the last 2 kilometers, something just clicked in my head and it's very hard to describe, but all of a sudden there was just no pain anymore. I knew that I was nearly there.
Yes.
And I had my hiking sticks with me and I gave them to my brother. I said, hold them. And I just took off running. And I was like, I'm not walking this last 2 kilometers.
Brilliant.
So it's a hard thing to explain, it's kind of, you have to do it to understand what that can be to be
Yes.
like, you know. But it was,
it's extraordinary to think that you finished on such a high note after such an uphill battle against the the challenges there that you didn't even see coming, both mental and physical, and fair play to you.
It's them curveballs, you know, them curveballs that are being shown at you, you know, it's just like life, you know, and you just kind of got to readjust and do what you can. And you know, that's, I'm actually quite glad that I got to experience that, because, you know, I didn't just kind of do 100K. I got to do it with all these curveballs constantly being shown at me. So
yes, exactly.
It's character building, and you know, especially when you hit the finish line and you just, you know, you realize you kind of did something big here. Which is just a great feeling, you know, and the bigger feeling came from actually being able to help others from doing that, you know, and raising money for Pieta House.
We haven't talked much about that. Any particular reason for picking Pieta House, or was it one that you just felt was an obvious choice?
No, there'd be the two of the main reasons. Being somebody who has suffered from mental health issues the majority of my life, you know, I was fortunate enough to have parents who, at the drop of a hat, gave me all the help that I needed.
Fantastic.
And it was when I was, you know, 22, and I really had improved, and I was, you know, doing really well, and it sort of just hit me in one time that not everybody has people who are going to, at the drop of the hat, get them all the help they need. And there's so many people out there who, just because they can't afford help, they don't get help, and that's just not right to me. And I just that was one of the main reasons that I was like, I would hate to think somebody is suffering just because they can't afford it to get help, you know. So that was a real big driving factor for me.
Superb.
You know, and being that I had an uncle who took his own life as well, it's just something that I have kind of been around, and I just want to now give back, now that I'm in a really good place, and that I'm a lot stronger mentally, and I want to just now give back to those you know, who helped me.
An amazing cause, and I think obviously with the times that we're living in, I'm sure their services are going to be even more you know, needed than previously. You got a great amount of support on the day as well. I saw some of the live stream, and the supports that was coming in with the donations, and that it was a great
it was incredible, and you know, absolutely. And, you know, I was kind of trying to be on my phone as well as running, just to kind of keep people updated. And to be honest, it was when I was feeling like down, because there is such low points in a long run like that. When I was feeling down, and just kind of maybe picking up my phone, seeing, like, you know, 10, 20 people have donated. I'm like, okay, so people are actually, this is working, you know, and it's like, I got to keep going, you know, and having kind of them eyes on me just meant that there was certainly no way I could quit this, you know. I had to complete it. But that type of things just kind of really pushed me and kept me going, you know.
I mean, it's a very deeper. Obviously it's a hugely rewarding endeavor to take on yourself as a challenge and all of that, and as you say, massively character building. But it's wonderful to see a reward of that nature coming back to people as well, and to others. Congratulations on pulling that together. Any plans on the horizon for other endeavors, or?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, to be honest, for about a week after that, I said I'd never do something like this again. I was just in so much pain. Like, it was the recovery. The 3 days after it were tough. But my plan, I've just bought a bicycle. I plan to do, you know, some long distance cycling this year, but I also plan to do a 100-mile run. So in my mind, I've ticked off 100K. I want to now go to 100-mile, which is 164 kilometers or something like that.
Sounds good.
So that's the plan for this year.
Okay. Well, rather you than me is all I can say about that. Your joints are obviously still up for a challenge, so
Yeah.
that's good.
Well, I just want to continue testing myself, see what I can do.
Yeah. I just wanted to let people know about, you had been using a little bit of the turmeric as well as you went along through your
Yeah.
training and what have you. Tell us a little bit about how you found that.
The turmeric that you provided with me was to be honest, I've been using turmeric for years. Just being sporty or whatever. And I've always found that it helped. But when you were running 30, 40K in a training, the inflammation is incredible. Like, it's like no other,
Okay, yeah.
And the potency of the turmeric that you gave me was like none I've ever kind of experienced before. And what I really found interesting about it was I remember you gave it to me because I had actually been in with you, I think the day after I ran 42K. And I was limping and I was like, oh, I'm fairly sore. And you gave me the turmeric, and I had asked you, why is there no black pepper in it? I was always told if you're going to get turmeric, get one with black pepper.
Sure,
I was like,
yeah.
oh, this is just a bit strange. I've never seen it without black pepper. And I tried it, and I was blown away by the results that it gave me.
Yeah, super.
A run was taking me, let's say, for example, 3 to 4 days for my body to stop aching.
Indeed.
And now
yes.
it was now down to 1 to 2 or at max 3 days to get back to normal.
Yeah.
So I found it to be an incredible supplement. And that is your formula. That's right.
That's right, Adam. Yeah. It's especially high absorption variety, and I think you were a great example of how quickly it can get into the bloodstream, and then how effective it is when it gets there. So, delighted to.
And it's something that really came into really handy when it was after the run, because again, the levels of inflammation after 100K is brutal,
Yes.
And I like the next day was awful, and then I started taking the turmeric, and I was back to pretty much normal after 3 days. And it in my mind, it should not take that. It should not be that quick to be okay after 100K.
With that level of damage.
That exactly. So I can only put a large chunk of that down to that high absorption turmeric, because I was fully expecting to be out of commission for a week minimum. I was sort of back to normal after 3 or 4 days.
Great. Yeah. Well, super to catch up with you, Adam, and thank you very much for giving us an insight into the mindset of an ultra distance run like that. Congratulations to your effort, and thank you to all the people who donated towards that cause that time as well. Will you remind me of the Instagram address for that, for those who might like to have just a little check it out, that your posting is there?
The Instagram handle is 100km for mental health, and the words are spaced with an underscore. I realize I should probably make an easier name, but yeah, I want to say, like, to anybody who has donated, to anybody who supported, like, thank you very much, and a special thank you as well to Matt and the whole Evolv team for supporting me on this and sponsoring me, and getting me the help and nutrition advice that I need. It was great to have to know that you were behind me and all that. So I really appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, very welcome, Alan. Well, we'll catch up with you, I'm sure, on your next endeavor, and everybody will be looking forward to that one. So good luck for now, and we'll talk again soon. Okay.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Alan.
Bye-bye.
Bye.